Dear Diary, today was so fun. Right now, I'm in Oracle, Arizona, home of the Biosphere 2. You might be confused at how I got here, so I'll tell you. It all started when I got to school this morning. Everyone was freaking out. They had every right to be freaking out as well. We were heading to Biosphere 2 for 3 days. So I put my luggage where it went and headed into Mrs. Ayer's room to see who would be in my group. One by one, each group got called, each assigned to a casita group, color group, and chaperone. I'm pretty sure that my group is called last. Our group consisted of me, Kenzie, Ella, KDS, Lena, Daisy, Rachel, and Rachel's mom was our chaperone. We were in black groups, so we all headed outside with our luggage and got ready to board the buses. On the bus, I sat next to KDS. We doodled and laughed for what seemed to be like forever, until, after 1 hour and 30 minutes, I look out the window and see what looks to be like a place out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, and cows. I was not the only person who spotted something, however. Suddenly, someone randomly yells, "Look, guys, I found the bee too!" And they sure did. Everyone started looking out their window, trying to get a view of Biosphere 2. It wasn't a long time before we arrived at Biosphere 2. Once we got there, we dropped our luggage in a conference room and headed to our first activity at Biosphere 2. As we made our way into the main structures, we got to see the 5 different biomes: rainforest, ocean, savanna, wetlands, and desert, as well as the technosphere, which houses most of the technology used to run Biosphere 2. But that wasn't all we got to see. We got to go inside the coolest thing that keeps anything from exploding: the lungs. The lungs regulate the air pressure in the B2 and keep it from exploding or imploding, which is pretty bad. They can do this because they're partially made of rubber, and when all the excess air pressure gets in the lungs, they expand. I know, pretty cool. It kind of works like a human lung. So we eventually made our way out of the B2 and headed to what would become our new living quarters, our casitas. At the food eating place, each chaperone was given a casita key and a map, and went off to their casita with their group. When we got to our casita, I started unpacking, only to be told that we were moving casitas because the one our group was in didn't have enough beds. So we moved casitas and ended up with a casita that everyone had had their own bed in. Yay. Once I finished unpacking, I became bored. Then I remembered that each casita group is making a skit to perform on the second night. So I grabbed my casita group and we all got to work on our skit. We went through ideas such as us all dying, to us turning into Biosphereans, and eventually ended up with a skit called The Biosphere Adventures of these characters we came up with. I know, awesome name. Hey, it was all we could come up with at the time. Eventually, we left our casitas, ate dinner, and headed to our next activity, Q&A with Linda Lay. Linda Lay was one of the original Biospherians who got to be stuck in the Biosphere 2 for 2 years as a huge science experiment. She had prepared a presentation for all of us, but the projector didn't work. So she just took questions from us and answered them. That lasted for about an hour or two. Afterwards, we went back to our casitas so that we can rest up for tomorrow. So, yeah, that's how I got where I am now. I'm so excited for all the fun adventures we're going to have tomorrow. I think I'm going to get some sleep. Good night, diary. Dear diary, day 2 was exhausting. First, I got up at 6 a.m., then I waited 2 whole hours for breakfast. By the way, breakfast was delicious. I love the eggs here. So, after all the waiting and eating, Black Group made their way to the Biosphere Ocean, where we got to row boats and fish for plankton. After we caught some plankton, we went to the labs and got to look at it under the microscope. We learned about these clear worm-like things called nematodes. There's so many kinds of them. It's so awesome. After exploring the Biosphere Ocean and its inhabitants, we went on a nature walk with Mr. Franklin. He told us about most things in the Sonoran Desert in which the Biosphere 2 is located, including the way plants heal themselves and how poor-sighted javelina know where everyone in their pack is. During that walk, Mr. Franklin showed us that barrel cactus fruit is edible by eating it himself. After that, it felt like all anyone wanted to do was eat barrel cactus fruit. Yes, I tried some too. It was very tart, but the aftertaste was really sweet. I mentioned yesterday that each casita had to come up with an original skit. So after dinner that night, we all went to this huge conference room and skits were performed. The skits ranged from murderous ghosts in the B2 to expectation versus reality. 5 skits had gone already, and then our group gets called to perform our skit. We rush onto the stage only to hear Daisy tell us that the script was missing. We went on a little search and eventually found it in Rachel's backpack. After the search was over, we performed our skit, The Adventures of These Characters We Came Up With in the Biosphere. I say that it was a success. Many people laughed when we lost Daisy and when she got lost in the B2 when we left. Basically, people laughed when Daisy got lost. After our skit was, in my opinion, the best skit of the night. Batman and Robin's Biosphere 2 Adventure, where Ty was Batman, JT was Robin, Donnie, Ricardo, and Griffin were random people trying to help Batman. Ben was the Joker, and Mr. Badhorn was Bane. The most hilarious part was when there was a bomb planted in the ceiling and Batman was offered a ladder, but instead replied, "There's no time. Robin, I'll lift you up and you can disable the bomb," and lifted up Robin, who flailed in an attempt to disable the bomb. In the end, all the skits were amazing. I wonder if they would have been any different if we were given more time. Well, I am so tired, so I'm gonna get some rest. I wonder what we're gonna do tomorrow. Well, good night, diary. Dear diary, I'm gonna get straight to the point. I'm sad. I'm sad we left Biosphere. Oh well, I might as well tell you about all the fun things we did today. First, we went to the main B2 structure and got to play with a dead squid. It was funny to move it around and see KDS freak out when we would get it near her. We got to learn not only about squid, but how all species categorize in our world. We were told to draw a diagram of a squid in our notebooks. I took my time. My time was about an hour. Yup, an hour spent on squid drawing. I'm a pro at life. So, after we played with dead squids, we went out to the place where we would eat and took group pictures. There was this giant rock, so somebody had the great idea where everyone in 6th grade tried to get on the rock for the pictures. I was not in the fan base for that idea. Still, I tried to get on that immensely crowded rock and failed. I was one of the few people who was actually on the ground for that photo. Then came Casita group photos where all of our Casita group successfully made it on top of the rock and made both serious and extremely silly faces. It was very fun. Then we got all of our luggage back on the buses and headed back to KGA. On the bus, I thought about all the fun experiences I had and crazy memories I had made, and I got sad. Well, then something kept me from being sad. It was pain. KDS was sleeping on my ribs. It felt strangely satisfying and quite painful to have KDS sleep on me. Like she knew I was sad and wanted to distract me from that feeling. So I said very softly to her, "Thanks, Katie." I was pretty sure I caught a smile on her face shortly after I said that. On the rest of the ride, I drew something. It was a drawing of the biosphere, and all my friends were by the ocean looking up at the stars above. This would be how I remember Biosphere 2, as a dream come true. A formation of a bond not only with nature, but with those around us. A bond that lasts forever.